You are at work. The meeting drags on the air, heavy as stone, and people begin to lose patience. You look around, feeling your heartbeat quicken, because it is almost your turn to present the most crucial part. In your head, dozens of scenarios appear. What if they disagree? What if someone objects? You start speaking, your voice slightly trembling, and in that moment someone frowns. They say nothing, but that single look is enough to shake you. I know that feeling. I once stood in that exact place in a room full of lights and watchful eyes. I once let tension consume me, trying to speak faster and perform better to prove I was good enough. But the harder I tried, the less calm I became. And when the meeting ended, I didn't feel relieved. I felt drained because I had allowed the outside world to control my mind too easily. That night I reopened Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Those words touched something inside me. I realized that calmness is not a sign of skill, but a choice. When you know how to pause under pressure, you take back command of your own mind. When you don't, you react. And when you respond, you let others steer your life. Staying calm doesn't mean cutting yourself off from emotion. It means understanding that emotion is a wave, and you are the sea. It is knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to breathe and let things pass. Calmness is not pretending to be strong. It is the mark of someone who knows what truly matters. This video is not about avoidance, but about steadiness. Through 7 lessons from Marcus Aurelius, you will learn how to remain composed in the most challenging moments, how to keep your mind steady while the world around you shakes. This is not distant philosophy, but a way of living, a way to reclaim control, even when everything outside is testing you. If this resonates with you, remind yourself of one quiet truth. I choose calm before the world begins. Not to seem different, but to remember that calm is your choice, the only one no one can take away. When you begin to feel that, you will see that self-control is not about forcing silence, but about finding freedom in how you respond. In that short pause between pressure and reaction, you return to yourself, where calm begins to turn into real strength. And that is the first step of this journey. Learning to stay calm in conversation, where every word, every glance, and every breath becomes a mirror of your inner state. Lesson 1. Stay calm in conversation. Have you ever been in a conversation where the air suddenly grew heavy? Someone raised their voice, trying to prove they were right, and you felt yourself being pulled into that wave of tension. You wanted to react, to defend your point, yet you also knew that one wrong word could turn the whole discussion into a battle. In that moment, staying calm was no longer an easy choice, it was a real challenge. I went through that once in a meeting. When I shared an idea, a colleague interrupted me sharply. All eyes turned toward me, waiting to see how I would respond. My heart pounded, my hands trembled slightly, but I said nothing. I looked at him, kept my breathing slow, and replied with a short, clear sentence: no defense, no blame. The tension in the room softened, and strangely, he lowered his tone too. I didn't win that argument, but I kept my composure. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Keep your mind calm like the surface of the sea, even when the world around you is in a storm." When you remain calm in conversation, you naturally lead others to adjust to your energy. A steady voice and grounded eyes often persuade more than 1,000 sharp words. Calmness isn't silence born of fear, it is the choice not to let someone else's emotions decide your words. I began practicing this every day. Before speaking, I slowed my breath. Before reacting, I asked myself, is this worth losing my peace over? Gradually, I realized that my calmness changed not only how I spoke, but how others listened. When you communicate from a centered place, your words carry quiet weight. If you've ever stayed calm in a difficult conversation, share that moment in the comments. Your composure might be the reflection someone else needs to learn emotional control. And when you understand that calmness isn't only in your words, but in the way you stand, look, and exist, you'll step into the next lesson with a steady posture and grounded eyes, where body language becomes the most potent voice of serenity. Lesson 2. Steady posture and grounded eyes. Before people hear your words, they already hear the energy in how you stand, look, and breathe. A tense body, a shifting gaze, or a trembling voice all send the message that you are on defense. But when you stand firm, let your shoulders drop, keep your gaze calm, and breathe slowly and evenly. You don't need to speak much, others naturally adjust their tone. The calmness of your body is the first image of the calmness within your mind. I realized this once during a business negotiation. The person across from me kept interrupting, his voice rising with each sentence. I felt my body tighten, my heartbeat quicken, my breath grow shallow. But instead of reacting, I leaned back, slightly inhaled through my nose, placed my hands on my knees, and looked straight ahead. Within seconds, my body began to settle. When I spoke, my voice grew lower, slower, steadier. Strangely, he stopped too. No one said a word about it, but the room had shifted. Calmness is contagious. Marcus Aurelius once reminded, "The body must follow the mind, and the mind must follow reason." When your body stands firm, your mind finds it easier to stay still. They are connected like breath and heartbeat. If you want to remain calm, start with the nearest thing to your posture. When you stand upright, you remind your mind that you are not afraid. When your gaze stays steady, you tell yourself you are strong enough not to be shaken. I began practicing this every day, not in the gym, but in real life. When talking, I kept both feet grounded, never crossed my arms, and never covered my chest. When criticized, I didn't look away, I kept breathing. My body became an anchor that held me steady when emotions threatened to overwhelm me. Over time, I learned that strength doesn't come from saying the right words, but from standing firm without trembling. If you've ever stayed calm by adjusting your breath or posture, share that moment. Sometimes, a slight adjustment in your posture can alter an entire conversation. And once you've learned to keep your body and gaze steady, you'll face the next challenge, the moment of provocation. Because no matter how grounded you are, one sharp word to your pride can shake it all. That is when you need the next lesson, not reacting immediately when provoked, where true strength is put to the test. Lesson 3. Don't react immediately when provoked. None of us can escape moments of challenge. A sarcastic remark, a joking insult, or a look of disdain can ignite anger within seconds. Reaction is instinct. But between instinct and calm, there is always a pause, and within that pause, you choose the person you will become. I once faced provocation in the middle of a meeting. A colleague, eager to prove his point, said with a sneer, "You always think you're right." People chuckled softly. I felt the heat rise to the back of my neck. Dozens of responses rushed through my mind, but instead of speaking, I took a deep breath, lifted my head, and stayed silent. Those few seconds felt like a full minute. The tension eased, and I realized I didn't need to win that moment. I just needed not to let someone else control my mind. Epictetus once said, "No one can harm you unless you allow them to touch your mind." When you react immediately, you hand over the reins of your emotions to someone else. But when you pause, you take them back. Calmness isn't silence born of weakness. It is a conscious choice. The choice not to fall into another person's emotional game. I learned to let emotions pass without clinging to them. When I heard something that disturbed me, I listened to my body. The quick heartbeat, the tight shoulders, the shallow breath. Then I exhaled, deeply relaxed my shoulders, and let the feeling fade like a wave dissolving back into the sea. After that, if I needed to speak, I did so slowly, clearly, without defense. What I discovered was this: calm people don't need to raise their voices. Their composure is the answer. If you've ever stayed calm in the face of provocation, remember that feeling. It isn't coldness, it's the strength of someone who knows their worth. Because when you no longer need to prove yourself, you begin to be genuinely free. And once you've learned to stay silent under provocation, you'll understand something deeper, that sometimes strength lies not in what you say, but in how you are present when you speak. That is the essence of the next lesson. Being fully present when speaking, where every word becomes a reflection of a steady mind rather than a reaction. Lesson 4. Be fully present when you speak. Most people listen to reply, not to hear truly. They wait for their turn, rush to find the correct response, and forget that communication is not a race of words, it is a meeting between two minds. When you speak while your mind is busy reacting, others can feel the tension hidden in your tone. But when you are truly present, when your words flow with your breath, your eyes, and your attention, you don't need to try to be heard. Others will naturally fall silent. I used to listen while preparing my answer in my head. During a conversation with a family member, I interrupted to prove I was right. But the more I talked, the more distant we became. One day I tried something different. I looked into their eyes, didn't cut in, listened. And when I spoke, I didn't try to convince anymore. I just said what was true in my heart. That conversation was shorter but deeper. I realized that when you are truly present, your words carry a different energy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your words be plain and true like the breath of a conscious being." Presence is not a skill, it is a way of living. It comes from the moment you stop, when your mind no longer runs to the past or worries about outcomes, but stays right here, in this moment. When you speak from a place of presence, others don't just hear you, they feel you. I began practicing presence not only when speaking, but also in silence. During conversations, I put my phone down, sensed the space around me, and kept my gaze steady. I found that when I was truly present, I didn't need many words, people still felt respected. That very presence made every interaction deeper, lighter, and more real. If you've ever felt the power of listening, fully recall that moment. It's not just a communication skill, it's a conscious way of living. Because when you learn to be present in every word, you also learn to be present in every silence. And that is where the next lesson begins, using silence as a tool. Because sometimes what changes people is not what you say, but the quiet that follows after you stop speaking. Lesson 5. Use silence as a tool. In a world where everyone tries to speak to be heard, silence becomes something that unsettles people. But for those who understand inner strength, silence is not emptiness, it is a tool of mastery. Sometimes what makes others pause is not the volume of your voice, but the calmness in your lack of reaction. Silence allows you to see the truth of a situation while others are still ruled by emotion. I used to talk too fast and react too soon. When I was misunderstood, I rushed to explain. When criticized, I tried to argue my way through. But the more I tried, the weaker I felt. Once, during a tense meeting, a colleague used harsh words to attack me. I didn't respond. I looked at him, stayed silent, and gave a slight nod. A few seconds later, the whole room softened. He lowered his tone. I didn't win through words, but by refusing to be pulled into someone else's emotions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When others lose control, hold on to your calm, that is the strongest response." Silence is not submission, it is reclaiming the space to choose your reaction. When you speak less, you give your mind time to observe, to understand, to recognize what truly deserves a response. Every time you choose silence, you practice one of the most essential skills of a calm person, mastering the pause between stimulus and action. I began using silence as a form of practice. When someone said something unpleasant, I took a deep breath, relaxed my shoulders, and let silence fill the space between us. At first it felt uncomfortable, But then I realized in that silence I could hear my own heartbeat, sense my rising emotions, and see clearly why I wanted to speak, to prove myself or to connect. Once I saw that the weight lifted, silence helped me step back from reaction and see the roots of my emotions. Seneca once said, "Speech is not always necessary, for sometimes only in silence can reason be heard." Silence gives you time not to act out of anger, but out of awareness. When you stay silent, you maintain your position, dignity, and clarity. Each moment of silence at the right time doesn't just give you control of the conversation, it gives you control of your inner state. If you've ever chosen silence instead of argument, remember that feeling. It wasn't weakness, it was the clearest sign of inner strength. Truly confident people don't need to speak much. They only need to know when to speak and when to stop. And in those pauses, their calm presence speaks louder than any defense. And once you understand that silence can be the deepest form of expression, you move to the next lesson. Pause before making decisions, because every moment of silence gives you a chance to see what truly matters and what is only a passing reaction. In that pause, you find clarity, the foundation of every wise decision. Lesson 6. Pause before you decide. In a world that demands quick reactions, pausing is often mistaken for a sign of weakness. But the wise understand that between action and haste lies a narrow space, and within that space, everything is decided. Pausing doesn't mean delaying. It means creating room for reason to rise above emotion, because most mistakes begin with decisions made too soon when the waves of temporary feeling still sweep the mind. I've been there myself. Once in anger, I sent a long message to get it off my chest. Before I could even reread it, the damage was done. A relationship that once felt light suddenly grew distant. My regret wasn't for what I said, but for not stopping long enough to ask myself, is this really necessary? Since then, whenever I feel the urge to react, I stay quiet, breathe deeply, and count to 5. Those 5 seconds, though short, are often enough for me to see that most things don't need an immediate response. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not act while your mind is troubled, for you will regret it when you regain your calm." That line became a daily reminder for me. I started making it a habit to pause before speaking, before sending a message, before making any significant decision. Pausing helped me see which actions came from reason and which came from hurt. Over time, I realized that those who can pause are often the ones who are respected the longest. Pausing also allows life to settle so the truth can appear. When you stop, you notice more the other person's eyes, their tone, the energy behind their words. You no longer act out of fear or impatience, but from a place of clarity and understanding. And when your actions come from clarity, the outcome often brings peace, whether it ends in success or failure. I remember once facing a crucial decision at work. The whole team waited for my answer, and the pressure felt heavy. My heart urged me to make a decision quickly to escape the silence. But I stopped, looked down, and took a deep breath. 10 seconds passed. I chose silence over uncertainty. That pause revealed the right direction, and it calmed everyone in the room. I understood then that in this rushing world, those who can pause are the ones truly in control of time. Seneca once said, "Haste is the enemy of wisdom." Pausing is how you protect that wisdom from being swept away by emotion. Every time you wait, you build another layer of calm within, one that keeps you steady through change, even when life doesn't go your way. And that leads to the next step on this journey, staying calm in the face of failure. Because in the end, what defines you is not how many times you succeed, but how you rise after everything falls, still steady and without resentment. Lesson 7. Stay calm in failure. No one wants to fail. But sooner or later, life will hand you a lesson no one else can take for you. A project collapses, a relationship ends, a door closes right before you, and suddenly every plan, every belief begins to shake. In that moment, the first human response is fear, justification, or blame. Yet for those who understand the spirit of Marcus Aurelius, failure is no longer an enemy but the ultimate test of calm. I once went through a time when it felt like I had lost everything. A significant career opportunity I had given my all to ended up in someone else's hands. I was angry, disappointed, and restless for nights. But one quiet evening I reread Marcus's words. Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. That sentence made me pause. I realized it wasn't failure that drained me, it was how I reacted to it. When I stopped resisting reality, I began to see things more clearly. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason is often to make you stronger without bitterness. Staying calm in the face of failure doesn't mean pretending to be fine. It means facing pain without letting it define you. It means accepting that some things are beyond your control, and instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" When your mind shifts from reaction to awareness, you turn failure into a teacher instead of a sentence. I started reflecting on the moments I had fallen and realized those were the times that shaped me more than any success. Each time I rose, I found myself calmer, less afraid. When you learn to stay relaxed even as everything falls apart, you no longer live in fear of failure. You live with quiet confidence that you can begin again. Seneca once said, "There is no easy path to strength that does not pass through pain." And it's true. Calm in failure is the mark of a trained mind, of someone who no longer needs perfect circumstances to find peace. When you can hold yourself steady in the darkest moment, you have reached the highest form of self-mastery, where nothing outside you has the power to break you. If you've ever faced a failure that changed you, share that story in the comments. Sometimes your calm resilience might help someone else rise again. And when you look back at these 7 lessons, you'll see that they all point to one truth. Real strength doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. And that leads us into the final reflection, where every lesson converges into one timeless truth. True power is calm. After completing these 7 lessons, you may realize one thing. None of them is merely about communication or reaction, but about self-mastery. Every time you choose silence over argument, pause instead of rushing, and calmness over response, you are cultivating a kind of strength that this noisy world rarely possesses. True strength doesn't come from power or intelligence, but from the ability to stay centered amid chaos. When others lose control, you remain calm and steady. When everything falls apart, you remain standing. That isn't coldness, it is awareness. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A calm mind is the fortress of strength. No one can breach it unless you open the gate yourself." When you understand this, you see that calmness is not the silence of weakness, but the language of power. I hope that after this journey, you won't just learn how to speak to be heard, but how to listen to understand yourself. Because every form of communication with anyone begins with the deepest one between you and your own mind. When you are calm, the world mirrors that peace back to you. When you speak from a place of presence, others naturally listen. And when you live from clarity, you become a quiet example for those still finding their way inward. If these lessons have touched you, share this video to spread the value of calm in a world that grows more impatient every day. Perhaps your stillness today will remind someone out there that you don't need to be loud to be powerful, and you don't need to win to be free. Leave a reminder for yourself in the comments. I choose calm in every storm. And if you wish to continue this journey, the journey of building inner strength, subscribe to Sovereign Stoic. Each video here is a small step toward mastering calm, clarity, and self-control in the modern world. Let's share that spirit, because the world will always need more people who can stay calm even when everything around them falls apart.